box open. Now both of you are big and beautiful. Steve, I love your background. It proves to me that you are the biggest fan of Color Out of Space, which is excellent. I love it. Sean, yours is great too. It goes with your shirt, and it just proves to me that you're the biggest fan of reality and truth. I love Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Garfield episode. The best one.
Odie just wouldn't get in the Ava.
He wouldn't get in the Ava.
And, it caused the second lasagna impact.
Mm-hmm. They had to go into the volcano to get Garfield out. But he was an angel the whole time.
That's the twist.
But we're here for Nicolas Cage. Our last discussion was about Tiger King. It was a very spirited discussion. If you haven't heard it, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, Late Night Cage Fight, and you'll find the latest episode we have up where it was announced that Sir Nicolas Cage will be playing the one and only Joe Exotic, the Tiger King. But today, we've all had the chance to see a wonderful film, The Color Out of Space. I've always wondered what a color out of space would look like. And now I know it's hot pink, apparently. We'll get into that. First, let's talk about Kevin. Kevin, haven't heard from you in a while. I miss you, brother. I had a short chat with him from the hospital. And I'm a little worried about him because it's the same hospital that Birdie was in. And yeah, it's rough. It's rough getting in there. But I was allowed to see him through a window for 10 minutes, and he was getting a massage. He did seem to be showing some bird-like tendencies. I think he's traumatized from the whole experience, but he says that he's okay. He didn't die. He said he didn't appreciate that we said that he died because apparently some of his family members believed it, and I told him that he obviously didn't listen to it because I said that he didn't die, that he was really sick, right? I said if he died, then I would take his stuff. So we actually had a cage fight there in the hospital.
Which is a felony, but...
Well, in normal times.
Yeah.
These are strange times. You can fight in a hospital as long as you're wearing a mask.
These are trying times. But Kevin's family did watch the movies that we sent him.
They did.
Kevin's favorite Nic Cage movie. Actually, you can tune in after the episode where Kevin's mom will broadcast in live with her review of Boy in Blue, which is Kevin's favorite Nic Cage movie.
I'm going to hold her to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced she actually listens to this. So, Kevin's mom, if you are, please watch Boy in Blue, and in Kevin's memory, let us know what you think. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was a masterpiece. I hope we get to watch it again after death and reincarnation.
I hope we get to live it.
Color Out of Space. What'd you guys think?
All those years in the big city, we finally got out. We're living the dream.
Maybe it is a dream.
Then everything just blew up. Big flash, like a pink light. Or actually, I don't even know what color it was. It wasn't like any color I'd ever seen before.
Looks like a meteorite.
You think it's radioactive? I mean, it's from space, right?
Meteorites are generally no more dangerous than ordinary rocks.
How can something that big just disappear? Did you plant those?
No.
Ward, you come here for a sec.
Oh, God.
What are you doing? Shh. It's talking to me. Who's talking to you? A man in the well.
It's in the static, it's in the moisture. It's in here, it's out there. And what's out there is in here now. Everything's under control.
Why are you so in denial? That thing from the meteorite changes everything around it.
It's just the color. But it burns.
Do you believe me now?
I don't know what I believe anymore. Everything's gonna be A-okay.
I appreciated the original concept of let's make a slasher flick, but the killer is the color purple.
I'm glad you appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, did it blow you away?
I mean, I was really getting into it for about the first 30 minutes. In fact, I was actually going to try to do the whole, or at least the first 30 minutes of the recap. After that, I started getting a little lost. But
Oh yeah, you were gonna take it on.
it was really intense for me. I was going to try, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure at a certain point you're going to have to take over.
Yeah. Well, I see. I don't really have any notes this time. I can't go through the entire plot, but we can talk about a little bit about
the beginning, very detailed.
Yeah. We'll go through it. I mean, I got it up on Wikipedia. You know, I'll download it to my Google Glass, watch it real quick, and again, we'll talk about it. Color Out of Space originally.
Using the Google Glass.
Yeah, the original Google Glass. You don't have one of those?
You're still using it?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, Apple's actually making their own version.
I just use the Amazon Enema.
All right. I don't know what to say to that. But
Steve, did you ever get yourself a self-enema?
I don't really know if I should answer that. We actually have viewers.
I don't know if you should ask that question, to be honest. Let's talk about the short story that Color Out of Space, the movie, is inspired by, and of course ripped the title from. H.P. Lovecraft wrote it many, many moons ago. If you don't know who H.P. Lovecraft was, he was a very prolific horror writer, most famous for the Call of Cthulhu monsters, those whole eldritch creatures that we see now that have become a mainstay in pop culture. What is that face, Steve?
Because I'm confused. This is actually based off of a story, because I actually thought this was based off of the skit from like years and years ago of like the Nic Cage will take on any role. I thought this was the all-white remake of The Color Purple.
People do not want to see an all-white remake of The Color Purple.
Sucks for them.
No. This was a short story. Yeah, a horror story at that, not a racial tension, dramatic piece of literature. But I actually did go back and read The Color Out of Space because I remembered that it was pretty short. You can read it in one sitting. And pretty good as well. I mean, I'd say it's token Lovecraft. You've got the existential dread. Basically, it's a story about a meteor that lands in this family's front yard, and things happen. Spooky things, creepy things, and you are kind of left to put the pieces together and try to understand what exactly happened. But what's interesting about the H.P. Lovecraft short story is there's a lot more science in it. I can't say a great deal, but there's more of a focus on the researchers trying to get to the bottom of what this mysterious substance is that comes in with the meteor. And it adds more of a sense of realism to the story that I think is kind of lost in the movie version. But that's just one example of something that I think was brushed over for, cinematic purposes. But I'll just say, in short, the short story is a really great read. I highly recommend it if you've never read a Lovecraft story. And it is rather straightforward, but the difference is the short story, the researcher at the beginning, the guy who comes in, the hydrologist who meets with the family and he's studying the water table and all that. Well, this guy is actually, in the short story, he's coming in after the fact. It's been many, many years since this event has occurred, and he sees the great patch of earth that's just burned and gray and ashen and disturbing, and he's curious about what happened there. Then he meets another character. I believe his name's Ammi Pierce. He's an old guy, an old farmer guy. And you have to understand, this is an old short story, too. So this was written in a time where people were very rustic. And this is also one of the themes of the short story, is that these farm people are dealing with something scary and unknown, but when they bring this knowledge to the city people don't want to believe it because they don't believe these stupid farmers or superstitious farmers or what have you. That's a theme that's important to the story, but you don't really get that in the movie because the movie is supposedly a modern day version of this story. But yeah, so the hydrologist character then talks to this farmer who was a friend of the main characters, Nathan Gardner, and the rest of the story is through Ammi Pierce's perspective. And I think there's actually a nod to this character, Ammi Pierce, Sheriff Pierce, the sheriff in the movie. Yes, they took his name for that. But I mean, in the book, this character is very important, and this character is kind of like, how do I explain it? Like the middle ground that you experience it through them, and you don't quite know what to believe, right? Maybe this old guy's kind of crazy in what he remembers, and it's more of a psychological horror story than what we're getting, which a lot of people describe this movie version as body horror. And I guess when you talk about body horror, we're talking about movies like good movies like The Thing is body horror, or the excellent Jennifer's Body.
Wow, nice insult, Hannah Montana.
You saw that.
With Oscar-nominated and winning actress Megan.
Megan 5?
Yeah, Megan 5.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, after reading the short story and then watching this masterpiece of film back to back, I still found the short story more disturbing. But there are some elements in the movie that I didn't expect that were definitely disturbing visually. You know, we talk about like the skin sores and we'll get into some more of the plot details. But really, a lot of the super intense stuff that you see in the movie, that doesn't happen in the story. It's more of like a slow decomposition of the mind and then the body, and then, yeah, what happens to the family is more, there's more of a distance of time and of characters than you get in the movie. So just be aware, if you want to go and read the book, it's a very, very different story as far as pacing and tone and all that. To the point that I'm actually kind of disappointed that they didn't just make a movie that was inspired by this instead of just calling it straight up Color Out of Space. But the movie by itself definitely has its merits. I would say that it's 100% Cage. We got the Cage factor going.
It's true.
Especially in the second half.
Yeah.
I feel like the first half of the movie he's a lot more reserved, but then you know, after shit really starts going down, you see a lot of say Cageisms.
Yeah.
That
well, guys,
other movies.
I've got two huge points about this movie, and we're probably going to want to talk about each one in detail. The first big point I have is when this movie starts out, the cinematography is great. The way the shots are laid out, it really looks good. And the music is good too. The sound design, and it really reminded me of Mandy, to be honest. The level of the effects and all that stuff. But when we talk about the writing and the acting, it didn't start on a very high note with me.
Accidents happen, Vinny. Someday...
I'll have kids of my own and I'll understand.
Exactly right. See, communication. Me and you, babe. Now, calm it back into the barn before your mother finds out.
And I thought that maybe it was just bad casting and just bad writing. But about halfway through, I got the feeling that all of this was maybe intentional. The bad dialogue, some of the just like plot points that don't make sense. Okay, like towards it's in the second half of the movie when the sheriff, I think, in his truck, he's got the mutated alpacas in his truck, right? Yeah. And he says to the hydrologist character, "You know anything about this? What these are?" And they're like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I guess we better go out there and investigate." So they send the sheriff and another deputy and that guy back to the house to investigate. But I'm like, okay, look at these things. This is a biohazard situation, and you're just gonna, you know what I mean? You're just gonna go.
They're out in the middle of nowhere, man. That's what them people do.
We're gonna go out there and investigate. Just little things like that, where it's like, okay, this has got to be intentional because nobody is this stupid.
I would disagree.
You would? You think that?
I would strongly disagree.
That you think people are that stupid? I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think the further you get outside of the city, the more people are. It's not necessarily stupid as so much as it is. We'll just do it ourselves.
Okay, but think about the character, the hydrologist. I want to get
the hydrologist. No, I think I don't know. His character doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I feel like he was never really developed very well. Mm-hmm. I really want to go through my interpretation of the opening and the characters as I saw them.
Go ahead. Please do.
Because I think it really elaborates. But then I'll just end up getting into the entire layout of the movie.
Well, we're going to do that anyway. I was about to do it after. Well, let me just say what my second point is.
Yeah.
My second point. The first one is I think that the writing is intentionally bad, and some of the casting is intentionally bad. Second, in the casting of Nic Cage specifically, this is the new thing. Put Nic Cage in a movie where he loses his mind, and then he can improv, and no matter how bad it is, you have an excuse to justify it. If he says something completely batshit insane, oh well, that's just Nic Cage's character. He's losing his mind. Yeah. I got that sense pretty early on. It's like the safe Nic Cage role. Yeah. This is the pivotal safe Nic Cage role in Color Out of Space, and he says some god awful shit in this movie.
Holy shit! They should have been put back in the barn hours ago. You haven't even fed them yet, have you?
Dad, I tried, but...
What do you mean, you tried? Do you have any idea how much those animals cost us? They are alpacas. Alpacas.
That there's no way it was in the script.
Yeah.
Isn't this movie by the producer of Mandy?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could definitely tell that some of the same people worked on it. I mean, they're very different movies, but Mandy and Color Out of Space both had a very 70s psychedelic type to it.
Right.
Very avant-garde. In some ways, putting visuals over.
Oh yeah.
Story.
That's a good point. Right. And I even was gonna say that the daughter in the film, Lavinia is the character's name. To me, she kind of feels like a Mandy 2.0. Her interests, She likes the Mandy Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
She likes the metal. She's into witchcraft, Wicca. And that's another point I wanted to bring up too, is why is it, real quick, why is it in any movie when they have witch stuff, like rituals, Wicca, pagan stuff, it's always bad, it's always scary. It's like, oh my god, they're gonna summon a demon.
Well, was it in this movie? Because literally the first scene of the movie, you see Lavinia and she's doing a ritual with that white horse. And, the hydrologist guy comes up and he's just like, oh, I'm ass. So...
He's like, what?
He's like, I want to tap that ass.
Oh, yeah. That's what I hoped you said.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it's never just a character's personality. It's never just a trait where they happen to be this spirituality. I'm just saying in movies, it's always depicted as something slightly evil, at least, somewhat scary. And I don't know. I'm just like, okay, she's just a kid and she's exploring. And I know later this is going to play into it. She's going to do some ritual or some shit. Summon a demon or anyway, we'd find out later. There is a ritual scene. But I just wondered, why is it always evil? Why is it always got to be evil, guys? I don't know. Anyway, Steve, you want to jump into the movie? Go ahead. I want your interpretation.
Yeah. So, the movie starts out, like you said, with some nice scenery pictures. And I'll start this a little bit too. I'm not a fan of the horror or thriller genre really at all. Just don't really get into it. So the first half of the movie, I really didn't know what I was getting into when I watched this. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of took it as it came.
Good. You had some nice surprises then.
Yeah. So the movie starts out with the scenery shots, and then you pan in on Dakota Fanning doing a ritual out by the riverside with her pony.
Yeah.
And then she gets approached by none other than M. Night Shyamalan. And so they talk, trying to find out. I was surprised when she gave her her name, Gardner, and I still do not know where that name comes from. Mm-hmm. And I swear there's like a famous Gardner name from something else.
The Gardner snake.
Yeah, okay. That's probably what it was.
I'm thinking of someone with that last name that we know who is not famous, so I'm not going to say it. Okay. But yeah, you might be thinking of someone we know personally.
That's possible. It just, for some reason, it struck me. So, she comes back to her house with the good old, Papa Cage.
Yeah.
And Sandra Bullock, her mom.
What is wrong with you, Steve? She doesn't even look like Sandra Bullock.
What was I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter.
She reminded me of the lady from Jurassic Park.
Okay. I could see that.
Who is actually a, award-winning actress. Maybe Jolie Richardson is the actress, and she played Teresa Gardner. Where have I seen her before? She's done a lot of TV. She was in The Last Mimsy.
Last Mimsy?
The Patriot. I think I recognize her from the Patriot movie. Event Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a body horror sci-fi movie.
Nip Tuck.
I just want to say, before you continue, Steve, that actress has a interesting look about her. Do you agree?
Yeah. Honestly, she's probably the one that I got the least throughout everything because I feel like she never had anything together. Mm-hmm. She was always really the same from beginning to end.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah, she had this kind of coldness about her, or like there was something in her eyes that indicated she wasn't quite right. Now, I don't remember this fact, but in the actual plot in Wikipedia, it says in the wake of Teresa's mastectomy, they moved to the rural farm. I guess I missed that. So after she had an operation, then they moved to the farm. Do you guys remember that at all?
I don't remember that at all. I remember there being something about like his dad passing or something, and then inheriting the house or something.
Yeah, I remember that part too.
Yeah, because there was some big thing of like, it's all ours now. We don't have to worry about him being a dick.
Yeah, typical Cage. So greedy. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead. I'm enjoying your recap.
Well, we're introduced to the rest of her family. Her younger brother, stoner brother, Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. Okay, beautiful. Yeah. It's not Jonah Hill, of course. None of these actors that you've mentioned are in the movie, but I like your wish list of actors that should have been in Color Out of Space. Okay, Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill with the he has the same haircut and style as the one older brother character in Stranger Things.
Actually, he kind of looks like Sam too from Lord of the Rings.
All right.
Kind of reminds me of him a little bit too.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, and then the youngest brother, Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, I guess he thought if he went in that well, he'd be able to get that gun for Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It was down there.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, I mean, it's just all of the typical angst stories, you know, teenage girl angsty with the witchcraft, and the boy and the stoner, and the kid just wants to watch cartoons, and Nick just wants to get some for a change, and she is not about it.
She's
not about it.
That's right.
So he gets her liquored up and basically just tells her, like, I don't care what you want, tonight you're getting it.
All right.
And so he goes for it, and it is so bad, so bad that honestly, it was like, the first thing that popped into my head was like some sort of a shitty Superman story.
Yeah, man, I can see that.
I was really just waiting for somebody to get, you know, this big meteorite drops down the front porch. I'm waiting for, I don't know, somebody to get fucking superpowers or.
Sean, are you following that Steve didn't apparently know that this was a horror movie?
Right? Yeah, I had no clue.
He thought it was a Superman.
I had just no idea. I thought this was the all-white room.
I'd just like to say that this movie's still not as scary as Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
That movie's terrifying.
That is a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So immediately, the kid gets traumatized or something, and you know, everybody's really concerned except for Papa Cage, right? He's like, I don't give a shit. It's too far to get to the hospital. Fuck it, he'll be fine. Just tell him to pop a couple aspirin and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. This is after the meteor hits, right?
Yeah. Meteor hits, and there's not really an explanation yet. Everyone runs out, takes a look at it, and then just kid gets traumatized, and everyone goes back inside, and it's a new day, and the meteorite's gone.
Right. There's another example of logical problems in the movie. Yeah, a meteor hits, and they're like, "What is that? Oh, I guess a meteor hit." Just we'll
go to bed.
Do what?
Yeah, they just go to bed.
Yeah, we'll just go to bed and check it out tomorrow.
We'll call NASA in the morning, you know.
Well, the weird thing was the people that showed up the next morning. It was what, Sheriff McAllister and Nora West Allen and Rude from the Turks.
Yeah. Like, that should have been a really important scene.
Right.
The researchers, scientists coming in saying, you have a meteor that came from outer space. It may have extraterrestrial bacteria, parasites, might have a little bit of coronavirus residue. We don't know. We got to find out.
That's not real.
I know. I'm making up illnesses. But yeah, I could have had the flu. Ugh.
Right.
Everybody
would die. It was just like, I don't give a shit. Fuck it. I'm out. Peace. It's Friday.
Yeah. I too thought it was very strange how they reacted to a meteorite slamming into their yard. What happens, though, after that? You know.
So after.
Yeah, you got your outline, right? You got more?
No. After that, when M. Night shows back up and throws his 2 cents in.
What does he say? Or does he literally have 2 pennies and throws it in the well?
Just. And then he fish. And Will Smith shows up with Blueface.
The next thing I remember, the kid, Jack, he is entranced with the well. I remember that scene where he's just sitting there looking at the well and mumbling to himself or something. And I think it's the sister or the brother.
Well, I think that's way later when the kid's entranced with the well.
Is it? Okay.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got to talk about the really important oh shit, I just cut off my fingers chopping carrots scene.
Right. Yeah. No, this, yeah.
What about the purple bug that?
Yeah, that's what I was. That yeah.
Well, before any of that, this is when M. Night shows back up. And that's when they just start introducing him to the whole family, the milking the alpacas. And,
yeah, right. And we got to talk. Let's start with that. Let's talk about Nic Cage. Dude, come on. This was not in the script. Nic Cage having an alpaca farm. This is totally. So
that's him. He's like, guys, can I bring my alpacas with me?
I imagine this character having alpacas, lots of them.
No, they're actually his personal alpacas.
he had to take all the piercings and stuff.
If you want me, you're taking my alpacas too.
Yeah, and they're getting paid too. Alpacas are people.
I just like to say that best straight out of the teat milk drinking scene since Last Jedi.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Straight out of the teat.
Straight out of the teat.
Now, if you don't mind, it's time we milk the alpacas.
Milk the what?
It's not like milking a goat. You don't get a lot of milk from an alpaca. It takes great patience, technique, and of course you have to be very gentle with the boobs. But once you get them warmed up...
Oh, nice one, Dad.
Would you like to taste?
Oh, no.
He says boobs. He's talking about alpaca milking, and he says boobs.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, that's the only way he can get boobs because his wife doesn't have any. So
that's why he got the alpacas.
Woo! We got the milk and alpacas. What happens next?
They go and they visit the obligatory crazy ass dude that lives in the woods next door.
Tommy Chong.
Tommy Chong.
I want to know how much they paid Tommy Chong to be in this movie. And, oh God, he's a hilarious guy, but I felt like he sucks in this movie.
I
just feel like he didn't have to try. They didn't try to get him to try. Yeah, man, it's Meteor, bro. Oh yeah, he's always talking about his cat.
Yeah.
And it's obvious he's like a hippie. Likes his coffee, stoner. I don't know. It was kind of.
All they did was just smoke him out and just let him just talk for. And then they just cherry picked with the best stuff.
Probably. But it was something. I mean, it was kind of interesting. I liked his makeup, was very beautiful. Mm-hmm. But he's just the crazy next door hippie that people don't necessarily know whether to believe or not. Because, maybe it's that dank weed he's got. I don't know. He's a little loony, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually just his life.
Yeah. But there is that cool scene that happens to him towards the end when they go to his house. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Ezra. That's his name.
Ezra. Yeah.
Ezra. So yeah, go ahead, Steve. What else you got?
From there, what the weird shit starts. That's when they go into the meal cooking, right? They're on the news, and she absentmindedly chops off her own fingers.
Right. Teresa, the mother, chopping carrots, I think, and accidentally cuts off a couple fingers. And honey, oh my God, honey, we gotta do something. Does it hurt? Let's go. God, let's do something.
Well, it's no problem when it's her. If it's the little kid,
right.
Fuck him, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But she needs those fingers.
How about all of the intentional? Yeah, I sometimes I'm not really listening to you, Steve, because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, and then it just kind of.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good because I don't know if I can respond to what you're trying to throw at me here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she absent-mindedly, you read that in the Wikipedia, absent-mindedly cuts off 2 of her fingers, which I guess she really needs. They go to the hospital. Benny stays home in charge, but the alpacas are all going crazy. Sam runs away. Didn't find the dog. Yeah, and then
like a dire wolf.
Right? Yeah, it's like fucking one of the dire wolves from
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
But what the fuck ever happened to him?
I think they said he was in the well.
That's
right.
That's just what happens to dire wolves. You just, they show up and you just, you leave that plot thread hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just.
We saw the alpaca fuck puddle. Why couldn't we see anything with the dog?
Right.
You mean Mega Paca?
Yeah, that scene was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the effects there. Some good effects. So yeah, dog runs away, and then Jack is staring at the well, mumbling to himself, and that's when Nic Cage starts to lose it, right? He starts to say some really disturbing things to his kids.
When he's still not there, he's gone with his wife.
Well, when he comes back.
This is when all the kids start slowly losing their shit.
Yeah.
This is when the Ralphie has his moment in the well and the purple bug.
Yeah, we see this kind of like hot pink grasshopper thing. Right. So strange things start to happen all over the place. The fruit and vegetables start to grow abnormally large. And they look really weird. Oh my gosh.
The sister, Dakota Fanning, she starts seeing all the blood, and then M. Night comes over to be like, hey, Gus, M. Night here, I know the plot. Don't drink the water.
Dude, this is one of my complaints about this movie. They are hardcore doing some foreshadowing at the beginning with like close-up shots of the water, showing them drinking the water, and they're drinking the water, and what does this mean? The water. And it pisses me off because in a movie like this, it doesn't make sense because the turning point of the movie should be when the meteor hits. Then things change. Not there's something already kind of wrong happening here. You know what I mean? There's other ways of foreshadowing without being like.
I feel like this was a whole lot of movies combined into one.
Oh yeah. Well, you
see, that's why I keep saying M. Night, because I feel like this was like a prequel or a sequel or like a twin to The Happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. Color Out of Space certainly inspired so many great horror movies because of how old this short story is. I mean, it's iconic. And the irony is they finally make a movie about the original short story itself, and it just kind of feels like a ripoff of all these other movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 1927. The original story was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked it much better, I think, if they tried to stick closer and made it more of a historical movie. Even and also they did the whole kind of hinting that I'll just say 80s feel. We say Stranger Things. There were parts of the movie that felt like it was 80s. But they had cell phones and stuff, and the mom worked using Skype or whatever upstairs. It's obviously not the 80s. And I just felt like if they would have dated it, if they would have made it in the 80s or 70s or gone back even further, I think it would have been a stronger movie. But that's
Did you ever see on Netflix, they had, I forget what it was called. It was based on a Stephen King short story. It was a movie it was like 1923 or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was like, the name was like a year, and it was, period. Yeah. And it was, it was just about a farmer who kills his wife, covers up, and the whole thing is just like suspense and
Antichrist.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when that book came out, but I didn't know it was. You're saying it's a series?
It's a movie. It was Netflix original movie. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I remember the reviews of the. You're saying though, was it a short story, not a book? Yeah, I'm not sure, but
I think it was a short story.
I just remember I worked for a company that made audiobooks, and we had that audiobook and had some pretty good reviews. Yeah, I should go back and check that out. And it's funny you bring up Stephen King, because actually, did you ever watch Creepshow, the movie?
No, but I know that there's a new one that they have.
I haven't seen that. I also haven't seen Creepshow 2. But in the original Creepshow, which is like vignettes, it's little stories all into one. There's one story with Stephen King as the actor in it. And he's the only human in this story. And the story is about a meteor that lands in his yard and turns everything into vegetation, including him. Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but it's very comic booky and kind of campy. But I watched this as a kid, and it, kind of disturbed me. Actually, the one that really disturbed me was the one where the guy buries the couple up to their necks in sand and kills them that way, and then they come back as undead creatures to kill him. I think it was even Leslie Nielsen who was the killer. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm digressing here. The Stephen King one was totally inspired by Color Out of Space. Had to be. Meteor hits, everything goes to hell. At the end, he's turning into this kind of like Swamp Thing vegetation monster, and I think he shotguns his head. So, there are all these examples. Go ahead.
Do you know what the only movie that Stephen King ever directed was? It was called Heavy Metal.
The animated?
And it was about cars coming alive and killing people.
Oh, yeah.
Transformer.
Yes.
Sean, yeah, it was Transformers.
With the truck nuts.
Yeah.
Which some funny shit.
Yeah, man. So it all goes full circle. No, I didn't know that. I remember that story though. Yeah, that's kind of a cool idea. As a kid, I remember thinking, wouldn't that be scary if cars could come to life and chase you? And then
I just thought it was funny that it was, of all his stories, it was that one.
True. Yeah. I think he probably knows that he's not a director. I don't know. Or maybe he just wants to stick to the story writing. I always thought it was kind of cool that he had cameos in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Stan Lee. I don't know what I like more now, birds or alpacas. I'm kind of shifting to alpacas now.
I think they should remake Birdie, but make it so his friend thinks that he's an alpaca.
That would be an alpaca who thinks he can fly.
Yeah, and he fucks an alpaca.
Yeah, I am totally excited to see that. Yeah. Oh, man.
How did he fuck a parakeet?
We're going to go back
they
to
wouldn't show it.
Don't ask Steve these kinds of questions, because he's going to have an answer for you. That's not going to be pretty.
It keeps me awake at night.
Yeah. Let's get to the really, really great scene where the alpacas are going crazy. Teresa hears Jack and Benny screaming and howling out in the barn. What's going on? And she goes out there. Something terrible has happened to the alpacas. They've kind of transformed into this John Carpenter-looking creatures. Megapaca. They reminded me of Shin Godzilla, if you've seen that, when Shin Godzilla is transforming and he's got the googly eyes. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Little Shin Godzillas, which is actually, I think, a tremendously better movie, but that's cool. They try to run away from the evil alpacas, but this crazy electric lightning comes out. It's totally metal and hits Teresa and her son Jack. And then we discover what's happened to them, Steve.
They improperly performed the fusion dance.
Fusion. Ha!
I like that. I never considered that. Yeah. They try to fuse together, I guess, into a single entity. It didn't quite work out. So we now have Teresa, the mom, with her young son fused to her back. And they're both now in excruciating pain. They look like some kind of mutated creature, but they both still have very human faces so that they can express. And I really want to know what your reaction was to this, Steve, because when I saw this part, I was like, we have now gone from an 8 to a 15 on a 10 scale.
Whoa. Why do they keep making that sound?
I don't think they like the sunlight, Dad. I think it's hurting them.
Gotta do something.
Let me get them up the stairs.
So, I mean, before I even got to that point, it was the crazy neighbor, and I started getting the feeling that obviously that this was not it's not an action movie. got pretty clear around this point.
Yeah.
But I still didn't see it as I don't know, I guess it's the movie that it was. Mm-hmm. I saw it more of like what was that fucking Keanu Reeves movie? Where they come in and they're terraforming.
The Matrix.
No, it's probably not even Keanu Reeves.
John Dick.
With actors. You know what I mean? They come in, the aliens are terraforming the world, and they're all like hiding in basements and shit.
Aliens.
Was it like The Day After Tomorrow or
you're thinking
World War Z?
You're thinking of War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
War of the Worlds, yeah. Tom Cruise. That's it. Same thing. But that's what I started thinking of, right? That's what it started seeming like. It was like they were coming in, they were terraforming, and I didn't. There was no clear indication of psychosis at this point, but it was starting to lean there.
Okay.
So then, Dad comes home. He's fucking losing it. There's all this weird shit all over the place, but still, he leans more towards terraforming. What I was confused with was the next day after they come home from the hospital, and like you said, the giant fruits or the giant vegetables. But on top of that, there's all this strange alien vegetation outside of it. That nobody seems to notice or acknowledge or anything. It's like, there's some good-looking tomatoes, but I have no idea where them purple trees came from.
Yeah, you remember the scene where he bites into that tomato?
Yeah.
Nic Cage?
Yeah.
Loved it.
Just
Class
whips
act.
it garbage can.
Gosh, yeah. We might consider that a Cage out. There was really one solid Cage out, I thought, when he was in the car, and he's just losing his mind.
You fucking cocksucker! You cocksucker! You cocksucker!
Yeah, they're just losing their minds over this thing. What's going on? I do have to say that in the short story, one really poignant piece of imagery was that the trees would move as if the wind was moving them, but there's no wind. And that was a part of the movie as well, the trees moving. And I just thought, they were good shots. But in the story gives you so many psychological horror things like that, where I mean, it's just something simple like that, where now, when you see the trees moving outside your house, you're like, wow, is there wind? It makes you think about those things. And now, it's just like when I see a mom and a son walking down the street and it starts to storm a little bit. I think if lightning hits those two, are they going to fuse together into an orgasm of pain? I don't know anymore. That's the effectiveness of film, I guess. Bravo, Nicolas Cage.
I was confused with a lot of that whole fusion thing. They didn't seem to know what the fuck was going on. The daughter had already carved, satanic symbols into her body, and nobody even acknowledges that.
That's just her being her. Right.
Lavinia.
Yeah, so Lavinia is into Wicca and paganism, so of course we have to have a scene where she tries to do a ritual to make everything better, but instead self-harms, cuts herself, and, Daddy, I think I'm hurt myself.
Lavinia, please don't cut yourself. God damn it. How many times do I have to tell you?
Yeah, it was amazing. Love that. I feel like that was the only reason we needed to have some witchcraft stuff in there, because she reads the Necronomicon. I love she reads the Necronomicon, but it's the discount paperback version from Barnes & Noble for $10. But she's a teenager, she probably got it through Amazon. But then again, Amazon may not deliver all the way out there in the sticks. It'd be kind of funny if when they...
That's the thing that confuses me with all of this is that they're city people, right? They just moved to the sticks.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to know anything of how things work.
Yeah. It's kind of like a bastardized version of The Witch. I know you guys haven't seen that movie, but yeah, I highly recommend The Witch because it's very similarly structured in that it's a family that moves from the city, but this takes place in like the 1700s, maybe later. So they're leaving the village, which has all of their essentials, and then things start to happen, and they don't understand what it is. The father is super religious. They think it's satanic. The kids are scared and confused, and it's just this kind of slow roller coaster ride into derangement, and until you find out that it has to do with a witch, and it's very cleverly written. And I felt like this was mirroring some of the horror notes of that in a less affecting way. But whatever. It looked nice. I liked the effects. Do look cool. Pretty colors. Yeah, I kind of want Steve here though for me to talk about the color itself. So we'll have to wait for that because this movie answers that question. If you say, what is the color out of space? There's an answer in the movie, which I find curious, but I guess I get it. It's just, it takes away something of the short story. But yeah, we're gearing up to hit the end of this movie, and then we can just talk some more about other stuff, I guess. But overall, it's definitely an experience. If you watched Mandy and you liked Mandy, I think it's worth your time to at least watch Color Out of Space once. It does have a similar kind of vibe to it. I do think Mandy is the superior movie of the two. But I bought Color Out of Space as a 2-pack with Mandy on iTunes, which was a good deal. Happy enough about it. I also want to talk about The Well, man. Do you remember the look of The Well? It kind of looks like fake, like a plastic, like you would buy at Lowe's or something and stick in the ground. Like, if you compare the look of The Well in this movie to The Well in The Ring, it's creepy in The Ring, right? It looks like an old-ass well with just bacteria and whatever. Purple?
So instead of water, because of the meteor, the well was filled with purple drink.
Exactly. Steve, welcome back. This is the last point I want to bring up about this movie versus the short story. In the movie, if you ask the question, what's the color out of space? There's an answer, right? You remember Nic Cage he's asked the question, what color was it that you saw? And he's like, it was pink. No, it was, actually, I'm not really sure. And what do we see everywhere? We see the pink bug, and we see the pink, CG light.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in the short story version, the whole point is it's a color that cannot be described by human comprehension.
So how did they describe it?
Well, that was the genius of Lovecraft. He could use words to express this just really disturbing idea. And I understand that that's not really easy to do. I just thought, why didn't you make it a shifting color? Or something because they could see different colors at different times and refer to it as one color, but then we as the audience are watching it and seeing different colors, and that just kind of makes it creepy in a way, right? It's like, well, that wasn't the same color we saw before. That would have been cool, but instead we just saw the same colors over and over out of space. Whatever. What did you think about that, Steve? Did it bother you that the color out of space was, kind of girly?
I still didn't really understand the purpose of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's get through.
Because it wasn't the color; it was the water.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's some. Yeah.
There are so many allusions to it being a liquid substance.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what you're saying. It was supposed to be an entire sensory experience. It was supposed to be light, sound, everything all mixed together. But there was so much heavy focus on the cause being a liquid substance.
Yeah.
And they repeated that so many times, even to the next point, right? Mm-hmm. The when they're trying to take care of the mom, and eventually Nick decides he's going to go out and clean up and put away all the alpacas. Put away the alpaca.
Yeah.
And comes back inside, and he's like, "I'm going to put down mom," but decides instead to start trying to get some still. It's fine. Kid's on the back. He can't see, and you can see the strands of saliva, goo. I don't know, just dripping in between them.
Mm-hmm.
Alpaca. Alpaca.
Yeah, that was alpaca.
Yeah.
No, it clearly came from her to him.
Kind of like
the spread.
Kind of like the Blob. That.
Yeah.
Picture?
The Blob, the Wii game.
This is why I kid you not. This sounds bad, but I had to go back and make sure that I wasn't wrong and that this wasn't an M. Night Shyamalan movie, because I swear to God that the central focus on this single scientific character that's completely outside of everybody else.
Yeah.
It was all of the workings. It was the fucking happening.
Yeah, man. I didn't think of that, but you're right.
Yeah.
It is pretty Shyamalan-esque, and it does have some, especially the things that don't make sense. Another thing that happens is Lavinia and Benny decide that they're going to run away from the farm. And do you remember they're like complaining that, oh, there's nothing for 10 miles or something. What are we going to do? We can't leave because it's just woods for so far. And I'm just like, but look at what's happening at your house. Why wouldn't you just...
They're city people. That's the only illusion of them being city people. They don't know what the fuck to do. They would just get lost. They're terrified of that idea.
Put some food in a bag and run for your lives. If you have to sleep, it's already night. Just get far enough from the house that you're safe. Set up camp.
But anybody's decision on that. Cage is the same thing. His wife and son were just shot by lightning and fused together. He goes, car's dead. Fuck it. Get on the couch.
Oh, sorry, honey. I can't help you. Yeah, I remember when they're fused together.
There's neighbors. There's other people in town that he could reached out to. Evidently, the crazy neighbor dude doesn't live too far away because everyone always walks to his house.
Yeah.
Because you saw the hydrologist dude walk from Nick's house to the crazy dude's house.
Right. Yeah.
After driving to Nick's house.
And I feel like if they would have gotten him involved, he would have he would have basically been like, "Oh yeah, bro, it's the color from the meteor. That's what it is, man. This is what you got to do."
Yeah.
And then that's like, "Oh, okay, game over. We figured it out. It's the meteorite."
If they caught him before he got too ripped.
Yeah. And then they all get high, and that's the end. It's how high? 2. Let's see. So the fusion of mommy and son, it turns into this. She becomes a monster, right?
Like a boss fight.
Yeah, it's like a boss fight. Pretty cool. I thought it was cool. I like that. And
that's why I was excited, right? Because it wasn't so. That's when the kids are outside, right? And Jonah Hill decides to go down the well because he thinks that Timmy fell down the well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited because I thought we were finally going to get to see Nina from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh.
So I was actually getting really pumped for it because I was like, I've accepted at this point that it's just a creepy horror movie, and I'm like, all right, but at least we're going to get, some like dog boy action. Let's see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, the fusion dance again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. I was like,
right.
Show it to me.
Maybe it was written, just not included.
I'm expecting it to be in the DVD outtakes.
Yeah. So we're at the point in the movie now where everything's gone to hell. And we're reaching the climax of the movie. And this is when M. Night Shyamalan, as you call him, the hydrologist character, and the sheriff and the other, I want to say deputy, they come to the house after examining the mutant, radiated alpacas. And instead of, like taking that up the chain, it's like, oh, let's just go investigate. They come to the gardener's home. They see Nic Cage, who's going crazy, and he's just talking to himself. And he's like, what are you talking about? My wife's right there. When, she's in the attic, locked in the attic, going crazy. He's also locked his daughter up there with them. And his wife and son are now this mutant beast. And they look at Nic Cage, and he is very disturbed. And yet... when they go upstairs, they leave Nic Cage downstairs, okay? He's obviously crazy. Then they go upstairs, they see the monster, and then Nic Cage comes in with a shotgun. Now, why would they allow that to happen, is my question. For him to grab a gun, wouldn't you just expect him to kill everybody? From their perspective?
Did he go past them first? Oh,
yeah.
He did.
He does.
He did. He
comes in with a gun, and then he, murders his family. He kills the wife and son. Mutant beast, boss fight. Pretty awesome scene. And I think that's when Ward, M. Night Shyamalan, and the sheriff, they go to Ezra's, and he is now dead.
The well, like, there's like fucking spaghetti monster legs coming out of the well now.
Yeah,
like
right.
It's the fucking Kraken or something. And
this is
somehow
where
Cage runs out there and starts yelling at it, and then the sheriff runs out and shoots him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's like delayed. It's your whole gun. He runs in the room with a gun, and sheriff's like, no big deal. He runs outside, and sheriff's like, shoot him dead.
Yeah, it's really great. I love it. And then we get the really cool ending sequence that is the most Lovecraft in the movie. You know how they show this CG world, I'm assuming where the meteor came from, the alien world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when I was like, okay, that's the one kind of cool thing in this movie that's very Lovecraft. And then we have like you said, the well is just spitting up color. And yeah, what else happens? Oh yeah, and then Nicolas Cage starts speaking in his family's voices. Mm-hmm. And then the whole place just kind of explodes, right?
Yeah, like the M. Night starts having his whole meltdown, and it's like he starts tripping acid.
Yeah, it's very psychedelic.
Yeah, like this whole time, I honestly, now that you're telling me there's this other story that this is based off of, that sounds way more interesting.
It is,
because this to me just felt like an acid trip.
Yeah.
It was like it was just a meteorite that came from the frat house down the road, and it was just a meteorite full of acid, and they launched it, and it landed in this dude's yard, and everyone got so fucking trippy.
Yeah.
Because even then, like Nick explains at the end that all his family's sitting right here. You can see everybody. And so I still don't even believe that any of these events actually happened. Any of the mutations, any of the other crazy shit. There's no insinuation that any of this ever actually happened.
Sure.
Until the very last second.
Yeah. Are you talking about when it cuts to the future?
Yeah. Well, no, it cuts to like sort of. Not the future, but like, so dude has this breakdown, he goes and hides in the basement.
Okay.
And somehow survives everything else getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And all of the color getting sucked out of it again because he's
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, because he's M. Night Shyamalan. He's got to be there. He's got to be the storyteller, or he's fucking genie.
Yeah.
I did think at the end he had a pretty cool monologue that kind of just capped off the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. It was cool. But was he doing a handstand at any point?
I don't think so.
Steve, I swear to you, when episode 1 of season 2 of Late Night Cage Fight drops, you read somewhere on the internet that Nicolas Cage does a handstand and gives a speech or a monologue. So they must have released that somewhere and cut it from the movie. It might be a deleted scene or something, who knows. But I definitely did not see it in the movie.
I have the Blu-ray. I can...
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that ending sequence is pretty cool. And it kind of parallels what happens in the short story as well. But of course, this is much more intense, crazy in Cage. Very 80s horror as well. Has kind of a poltergeist feel to it to me. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Color Out of Space. Then the ending is M. Night Shyamalan, the hydrologist. Ward. He is now looking at the blasted heath, the area where this was all affected, and talking about, I think it's straight out of the short story, too, what he's saying, really. And I think that because it's actually good writing at this point. How the reservoir is going to fill this area, and it's going to, it's going to cover all of these horrible memories, and it's going to be forgotten. But for some reason, he's been drawn back to look at the blasted heath. And there's also this implication that maybe when the reservoir covers the area, just maybe that color is not quite gone yet. And it could infect, right? It could infect the entire water system.
Right.
Yeah.
That's still the last thing he says. Yeah, it's still the last thing he says is, I still won't drink the water.
I still won't drink the water. Yeah, we got to hit that again for the 1,000th time.
So sad.
Drink the water. So, as an ecological, environmental film, I'd give it an A+. It's really great. Take care of your water.
Yeah. No fracking.
Only drink feet. It's got magical properties.
Yeah. Untouched by human hands.
So I get the sense that you guys weren't really moved by the whole evil meteor bad guy. You didn't think that was very, believable or creative? That a meteor brought some kind of juicy liquid that makes people go crazy?
As far as juicy liquids, it wouldn't hit my top 10.
Right.
But, no, I mean, for 1927, is a pretty creative.
Yeah. So, let me just say that a modern version of this kind of story is a novel called Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. You familiar with that? There's a film as well with Natalie Portman. What's that?
The movie's fantastic.
Yeah, the movie's great. Yeah, and there are some similarities, but Annihilation, I think, it's a more modern, better take on this concept where you have an extraterrestrial invasion that is having a biological effect on its surrounding and trying to mutate it on a genetic level in a super disturbing way. And both the book and film, are excellent. And I totally think that it was inspired by the story. And this version of Color Out of Space, unfortunately, is it's more camp. and straight body horror, as they say. So, you know, going into something like this, if you're into just gross, disgusting gore, you're going to find something in it that you'll like for sure, because there's lots of that, and kind of cheesy effects. They're still cool. But as far as something like really just disturbing and leaving you with that kind of a creepy feeling, you know, I'm just going to say stick to the short story or check out Annihilation, because, man, I love that novel and movie. Color Out of Space. I'm kind of happy Cage wasn't in Annihilation. Could you imagine if he was the final boss?
Ugh. I wouldn't want to see him in a silver spandex costume. just a silver morph suit.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It could be good. So what else should we say about Color Out of Space? It was directed.
Go feed your mother.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Go feed your mother.
I would like to say that I went into this movie somewhat blind, and I happened to show it to a group of my friends, and they weren't happy with me.
Oh no! Really?
Yeah, they weren't into it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Specifically, they did not like the sound direction.
Okay.
They found it very irritating, which I personally thought that was part of the direction. I thought it was the high-pitched tones that are used in the film.
Oh yeah.
I think that was done in order to make you feel uneasy. But, you know, film snobs, they are not.
I see. Yeah, you have to be open to that kind of stuff, especially in a movie like this. You know, it's the same with, we were talking about The Witch. I showed that to friends before, and yeah, they were not into it because it's a slow burn, slow moving movie. And yeah, I mean, I just wish everyone could watch movies like us and appreciate that. Even if a movie's not great, if Nicolas Cage is in it, then there's really no choice. You have to watch it. Just Steve would never watch a movie like this, but because Nick was in it, he knew that it was probably one of the greatest films ever, and he watched it.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't terrible.
I'm happy to hear that.
I want to know how they got the alpacas on the truck. Right?
Yeah.
Because he goes out in the shed, he shoots them, and then what? Somebody comes out and like digs them out of his shed and brings them back, but doesn't bother to help anything else going on?
No,
or even go in and ask?
No, I remember they found him on the side of the road.
How?
I'm pretty sure. They ran away. Didn't some run away?
They were all like one mega. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah. Some of them did get out, and they almost hit them on their way back.
Yeah, that was it.
That's right. Yeah.
Richard Stanley, who directed this, let's just kind of look at what he's done. He famously was fired from directing The Island of Dr. Moreau in 1996. Also an interesting body horror-esque film to check out. But the whole story of him getting fired from that movie, I believe, was made into, its own movie called Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. I'm interested in seeing that, but I haven't, unfortunately. And he was also involved with the Dune movie? Oh, the Dune movie that was never made. And I only bring that up because there is a new Dune movie directed by the same guy who did Blade Runner 2049. Is that what it was? And Arrival. Some really great films. Yeah, I think next year the new Dune movie is going to come out, and I'm pretty pumped to see that. I do not believe Nicolas Cage is involved with that one, though.
Still time.
There is. Yeah. Come on, give him a cameo. Oh, speaking of Nicolas Cage, I also watched the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie for the first time. The animated film. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah, that movie's fantastic.
It's great.
You know, I didn't give Sony a lot of credit because a lot of the Spider-Man stuff that they've put out has been less than good, we'll say.
I see.
But they did a really good job with that.
Yeah. I totally just want to thank all the animators involved in bringing that movie to life, because it is probably one of the best animated movies I've seen in a long time. And a super cool, fresh take on Spider-Man. And Nicolas Cage plays a version of Spider-Man and does a great job, I gotta say.
Plays Spider-Man Noir.
That's it. Yeah.
Who comes from an all black and white dimension.
Okay, little fella, Kingpin's gonna send a lot of mugs after you, and I'm talking hard boys, real biscuit boxers. Can you fight them all off at once? Surprise attack!
That's right.
And I really like the gag that they have where he gets like a Rubik's Cube and takes it back to his dimension.
Right. Yeah, Steve, so you should watch that sometime.
Did you know this movie is actually going to be the first of a trilogy?
What movie?
Color Out of Space.
Shut up.
In a Q&A with Richard Stanley, Stanley claimed that the film would be the first of a trilogy, with a Dunwich horror adaptation coming next.
Oh, my God. Well, that's bad news for you, Steve, because you're the one who hates these kinds of movies.
That's all right.
Will Cage be in?
That's the question. Will Cage be in it? I don't know.
That's true.
I think yes. I mean, just put him in the role where the guy goes crazy and let him improv.
And be done.
There you go, yeah.
Richard Stanley's favorite movie is actually Vampire's Kiss.
Are you
And
kidding
he actually
me?
asked Nicolas Cage to use the same style of performance.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Speaking of Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah. That's coming up. We're going to discuss that in great detail soon. Of course, first I got to get episode 1 of the new season up, where we talk about Peggy Sue got married and Raising Arizona. A few audio issues with that one. That seems to be the case lately, but I'm getting them worked out, so it'll still be a good listen, but I totally anticipate Vampire's Kiss. I want to make that one as fun as possible, because that's one. What's that?
I probably need to rewatch both those movies.
Yeah, sorry, Sean. I know you were really excited to talk about them, but hey, at least Vampire's Kiss is worth a rewatch.
What was the other one?
What was the other one? Do you know?
It's the one with Cher. I don't remember what it. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but one movie is more memorable than the other. Just
Moonstruck. Right.
It did have some good Cage outs.
Good.
You know.
Good.
But Vampire's Kiss is like.
Yeah.
That's like the Room levels of fantastic.
Did you guys like my Vampire's Kiss clip I put in the Tiger King episode when Doc, whatever his name is, Bhagavan, is trying to spell his name? Do you remember? I put in the Nic Cage clip from Vampire's Kiss where he's like, A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I knew I had to put that in there.
Oh, it's gonna be a good episode.
Guys, this was a very interesting and fun conversation about Color Out of Space. I had a lot to talk about. I really wanted to have an outline, but I think even not having one, I was able to hit just about all the points I wanted to about this movie. And, man, there were a lot. Yeah, we got Cage outs, we got interstellar mutations. Definitely something for the whole family.
I think there's a pretty good chance that Stanley's going to try to keep Cage on for future movies. They seem to have a bit of a bromance.
Yeah. I
They've
think
also both shared a quest for the Holy Grail.
What?
They both shared a quest for the Holy Grail.
I believe it. I can only imagine. Can you imagine these two guys in the same room just by themselves? I can only imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
And you know, I felt like Mandy, Nic Cage's character in Mandy, was more like him. Because he's more of like a rock star personality in person, in what I read. And then, you know, Color Out of Space was more like Family Man too. So it was kind of awkward. It's like, oh, okay, Nick has to play a family man again, and you can just tell he's not like that in real life. So it's funny, but he got to lose his mind a little bit.
Just a bit. Just enough.
Yeah, just enough.
Just enough.
Yeah, Color Out of Space, guys. Well, thanks for having this discussion and watching this excellent film with me. It was great. Anything else you guys want to add before we stop the stream?
You know, the entire movie was actually sponsored by Crayola.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Crayola sponsored the Color Out of Space. Did they ever maybe come out and say what color they think came out of space?
Robin's egg blue.
Oh. It wasn't just brown?
You know, Macaroni Grill has exclusive Crayola colors for their kids menu.
No, I didn't. Like they have exclusively licensed colors that you can't sell anywhere else?
Yep.
Interesting.
Exclusive Crayola crayons.
Wow. So I will tell you one last tidbit that I did read on this.
Give me a Tim Hortons. Give me a Tim Hortons tidbit.
Your color complaints. The color used in this film to represent the alien color is magenta. A color that does not exist from a single wavelength of light as part of a color spectrum of visible light. Rather, it's an extraspectral color that is only perceived by humans in a specific interaction of the optical rods in their eyes that detect red and blue colors in specific circumstances to create the color magenta in their minds. So there was logic behind that color.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. That's interesting, but I still think it's stupid because magenta is still a color.
Yeah.
Is it though?
Shut up, Sean. I'm sorry. Don't shut up. That's probably what Cage would say. Is it though? Is it really a color? How do you know? What is a color?
Colors are a construct.
What if it actually did come out of space and you just don't know because you've already been infected because this is sort of the future? This happened over 100 years ago. That's why HP wrote about it.
This means
you don't know because the water has gotten into everybody's water. We all see this color now.
What is water?
Color of space.
You sound like our president.
Water comes from air. Air comes from space. All colors are in the water.
Space Force.
Name one color. You can't because they've never existed.
Deep. But this just tells me that they had already decided that it was going to be magenta. So that line where Cage is like, oh, I saw a color, it was hot pink. You know, he was thinking of what's like magenta but not magenta, because I don't want to say magenta because we know it's magenta. And it was like hot pink. Actually, I don't know what it was. You just said it was hot pink!
No, they probably told him what the color was and he couldn't remember it.
I think he just said
I don't
pink.
know, it's like hot pink or something. I don't remember. What's my line, guys?
Yeah,
he was probably supposed to say magenta, but he legitimately couldn't remember. They were like, you know what? Classic Cage. Let's keep it.
Let's keep it. People are just going to love that. Yeah. He should have just said, I don't know, then.
Yeah.
Instead of giving a color.
It's Nick. He always tries.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, thanks again, guys. Color Out of Space. What a spirited discussion of this now classic horror film. I don't think we can talk about any other horror film now after this one. Color Out of Space, probably it sets the bar for good mother-son fusion horror. And I'm just excited for what comes next. I hope Cage is in the next Lovecraft adapted films. Heck, I hope he's in the next National Treasure that they're supposed to be making. I don't know if you caught that, but apparently there's a new National Treasure in the works, probably going to be a Disney Plus exclusive release or something. I don't know, but it's going to be great. I would like to see National Treasure versus Sorcerer's Apprentice, where he's the Sorcerer's Apprentice trying to find the National Treasure. So many possibilities with Nicolas Cage. It's a cage of possibilities, and that's what we're here to discuss. And I thank you very much for your time. And Color Out of Space, excellent. Watch it as many times as you can. Get it into your brain that water can kill you.
Especially if there's fluoride in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the anti-fluoride film of the decade. That's what I meant to say earlier. Maybe even anti-vaccine. I don't know.
Steve, don't worry though, because there are plenty of T.S. Eliot stories that they can adapt and put Nicolas Cage in.
Plenty.
This one.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know we've got good ones coming up with Tiger King and.
Mm-hmm. The what is the what's the masterpiece one?
We keep bringing it up. I keep forgetting the full title.
Yeah.
The massive weight of talent.
Something talent. I got it. It's the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Yeah.
This is what we're all waiting for. Right now it has a March 19, 2021 release date. So it'll be interesting to see where we are in the podcast by the time that comes out.
And in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to be one of the first to premiere the review of that movie. So maybe we could get Nick or one of his reps from the studio to give us an early glimpse at this. That would be great. Just send us an email or something.
If anyone has any leaked copies or knows any hackers from, certain countries that are not the United States.
That's what I was going to say if we got a no, but I'm sure we're going to get a no, so we might as well just invite people to hack the movie. I think that's a really great thing to do. Thank you.
Why don't we just do both?
LimeWire.net.
Why don't we ask Nic Cage to National Treasure hack
his own movie
and give it to us?
Dude, that's genius.
Yeah. He'd be up for it.
All right, well, let's end this stream because it's been an hour and a half, and I know people are hungry and tired.
Hungry.
So thanks, guys, for joining us. This is Sean, Steve, and Reese. Kevin is here in spirit, saying good night. Thanks for joining us. Nic Cage forever. Right. Thank you very much. Later.
People do not want to see an all-white remake of The Color Purple.
Sucks for them.